If you have questions regarding purchasing property in Jamaica, the process from start to finish, the role of the lawyer, the role of the realtor, then this video is for you. I interviewed attorney at law, Michelle Thomas. She will walk us through the transactional costs associated with purchasing property. Realtor Leonie Ho will then walk us through where we can go to look for property, our income versus the house we can afford. Give us an overview of the process of purchasing property in Jamaica.
Well, the process is a fairly simple one if you have the right persons in your corner. Purchasing a home is a great milestone for anybody. And before you start purchasing, one of the first things you need to do is to ascertain your budget. And you do so by going to the banking financial institution, getting a pre-qualification. If it is that you're through NHT, obviously you would be qualified for your NHT contribution. And that ranges depending on if you're intending on buying land or if you're intending on buying a home. So that's the first thing. Budget, know what you can afford. After you get a pre-qualification letter and you're in the know as to what you can afford, the next thing to do is to find a property that is in keeping with your budget. You don't want to get a property that is outside of your budget because that will result in a strain on you. And you will have to find a little bit more money out of pocket. So when you find a property, then you, depending on how you find the property, if it is that you use a realty company, then you'd have to put in your offer and wait until your offer is accepted. If it is, a neighbor or friend who is selling, then that makes it a little easy because all you would require is to just retain attorneys so that the attorneys can thereafter guide the transaction. After finding your property, the next thing is to secure your finances. So you will go, most Jamaicans, they don't buy cash, they tend to use a mortgage. So depending on your financial institution, you have to ask the right questions as what interest rates will you be provided with and what are your commitment fees? Because a lot of people don't understand that even though we're taking out a mortgage, commitment fees are very important. So you find out, so you go mortgage shopping, so to speak. And when I say mortgage shopping, you try to find the right institution for you. So you have JN, you have JMMB, you have Scotia, all of these banks, they offer mortgage. So you find the right lending institution to fit your needs and within the keeping of the right budget. After you find that, you retain attorney. And when you retain your attorney now, your attorney will take over the process in terms of looking over the sales document, guiding you accordingly. After you sign your sales deposit, the sales agreement, that is, you'll have to pay a deposit. Now, deposit ranges between 5 to 10%, depending on what you agreed to. And then after you sign the sales document, you are on your way to owning your own home. The lawyers now will communicate with you, guide you. You'll have to do a valuation and you'll have to do a survey when you're purchasing property. The valuation requires that you know what the property worth because you don't want to buy a property, for example, for $8, but it really worth $6 there, and then you won't get much equity from it. So you have to do a valuation to ascertain how much the property is worth and if you're getting your money's worth. Then you will have to do a survey. Survey is important because it ascertains whether or not there's any breaches in the boundary lines, if there's anything that needs to be addressed, whether there's an encroachment, and all of that is paramount because you don't want to buy your property and 5-10 years after you realize that your wall that separates you and your neighbor, you are over 5 feet into the neighbor's land. So all of that, you will not get financing unless that issue is addressed. Sometimes the bank will allow a lawyer to give a letter of undertaking that they will fix it within a protracted time period once the sale is ended. So that's very important. So once you get your green light with the valuation, the green light with the survey, then you can start with processing your mortgage. Once the processing, you know that you pay your commitment fees, the bank will issue a letter of commitment and thereafter a letter of undertaking. And voila, you become a homeowner.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. What are the documents that are needed in terms of legal documents? So I know the valuation is needed, the survey report.
And also the sales agreement and instrument of transfer. Sales agreement just sets out the parameters of the sale price, deadlines. It speaks to important things that guides the sale. So that is a document, initiating document that parties will sign. Thereafter, you have the instrument of transfer, which is another document that the purchaser is supposed to sign. And that document is important because that is what they use to register your name on the title. Separate and apart from that, because you're taking out a mortgage, you have to sign what is called a mortgage document, the mortgage deed, to ensure that the bank interest is protected on the title. So you have the bank set of documents, that loan contract you will have to sign with your mortgage institution depending on the one that you choose.
Okay, so what about legal fees?
Well, your legal fee ranges from attorney to attorney. You have people charging 1%, but it ranges from 1 to up to 5%. Standard fees are between 2 and 3%. On the very lower end is 1%. And normally lawyers charge 1% if the transaction is rather large in terms of the purchase price. But the standard rate is 2 to 3%.
Okay, so just to give an example of what that looks like in figures, for a property like an apartment that's for $15 million, how much would someone look to pay?
So it will, let me do the calculation. So it would be, for example, if it is that they're purchasing for 15 million, it would be standard rate 15 million, and let us say 2% of that, which would be 300,000.
Okay,
That's
so
what I'm looking at.
that's quite a lot of money though. So why is a lawyer important to the process?
Because guess what? Look at it this way. Sometimes you have people purporting to purchase property that aren't necessarily the owners. You have a lot of pitfalls that might come. And it is important for us to have an attorney because, one, we will overlook or look over the documents that are required for signing to ensure that you're getting a good price. Also to ensure that you're not purchasing something that 5 to 10 years after you fall into problems. And also it is important because this is a very important process and you must have your lawyer to guide you, provide some sort of guidance, because sometimes they don't necessarily understand the ramifications of some of the terms in the agreement for sale. It's important for your lawyer to express and break down some of the terminology so that you can understand. And also in circumstances where there are breaches on the property, you will need your attorney to assist in making right those breaches and fixing any issues as it relates to that comes from the survey. Also, you will need your lawyer because if it is that the valuation comes less than what you are purchasing it for, you need your lawyer to negotiate on your behalf. So there are some inner workings that you as the average layman won't know and won't appreciate, and it's important for you to have that level of guidance so that you can be a very informed and a buyer that doesn't end up crying afterwards.
Thank you so much for that. And we've seen quite a lot of that in the media where people end up purchasing property and the property basically wasn't even for sale. So to avoid that, get yourselves a lawyer. So how can they get in touch with you, Michelle?
Well, I'm Michelle Thomas. I have two branches, so on Boulevard Supercenter and ETE Street. I'm also on Instagram as Michelle Thomas Law Office. I'm also on, I have a website, michellethomaslaw.com. And also, if you search in a search engine, which is Google, you can find Michelle Thomas and Associates listed there. We're very easy to locate.
First one is, where can someone look for houses to purchase, like helpful websites or methods that they can use to garner information about what's new on the market?
Okay, so let me start by saying it depends on what you're looking for, right? Most persons, their go-to is the gleaner. Most persons who are starting to look for a house, they normally go to the gleaner because they associate the gleaner with finding a cheaper property. Yeah. However, I would like to put my company out there as the go-to company, which is Wicon Properties Limited. And you can find us on our website, www.wiconproperties.com. So, and you can also go to your search engine, put houses for sale in Jamaica, and a lot of the real estate companies will pop up. Does that answer your question?
Definitely. Thank you for that. How important of a factor is your income in house purchasing?
Okay. So once you decide that you want to buy a house, there are a couple of things that you need to think about. And that is, how much money am I earning? How much money am I saving? And when you look at what your salary is and what is out there in the market, then you will say to yourself, I need to get a mortgage. Most persons cannot afford to buy cash, so mortgage is the route that they will take. The go-to place would be NHT. Most young persons who are looking to buy a house and they have reached the stage where they think they're qualified to buy a house, their go-to place would be the National Housing Trust. Your salary is going to be very important, and how much debt you have taken on is also going to be of critical importance to your decision to buy a house. So, say you're earning $200,000 a month, yes, and you want to buy a house, you would qualify for approximately 12.8 million. You're going to go to the NHT. The maximum anybody can get to borrow from the housing trust to buy an open market house is $6.5 million. If you're joining with somebody else, then they'll also get a $6.5 million, and then you'll come into 13 million. So salary is going to be very, very important because that payback is going to be dependent on not just your earning, but also your age. So it's very, very important to save. While you can't save to buy the house, but you can save to make the deposit.
Okay, so what income qualify? Well, I mean, you just made mention of the fact that if you earn $200,000, then you'd probably be able to buy like a $12.5 million house. What about a $15 million house, 20 million and 30 million? What income range would you need to earn to be able to purchase?
So if at $200,000 per month, right? You're going to be paying back. You're going to be paying back around 60,000. 60,000, 80,000. So at 15 to 30 million. And I shouldn't just put it down like that, because a lot of factors go into you buying that house, right? So your income level is one, but your age is a bigger factor. So say the proposed purchaser is in your age group, they're in their 20s to 30s, right? They would get a 30 to 40 year mortgage. And that is going to be more of a factor than just how much you're earning, because you could be earning $1 million a month, but you're close to 65. So the amount that you pay back would be so much more than somebody who is 25 and 30.
So what is mortgage like compared to rent?
I think that's a personal thing, because you could choose. A person could choose to rent and not own, right? But if you can pay 70 odd thousand, $80,000 for rent, and you're in the $200 dollar per month bracket, you could afford mortgage, because at that rate I had said you'd be paying around 60 odd $1,000 to $80,000 a month for your mortgage. But rental versus mortgage, I wouldn't want to venture to say it is better to rent than to own, because if you're in a situation where you cannot find the deposit to pay down on that house that you want to buy, and you don't have the savings to back that purchase, then rental, if you want to step out of your comfort zone, which is probably a parent's house or some family house, then probably rental is going to be the avenue for you until you have saved enough to make a deposit on a house. And I should venture to say, and I'm going to stick with the $12 million bracket, $13 million bracket for now, because that's pretty much where young homeowners would want to be. They don't want to spend too much money. If you're in that bracket and you have not saved 10% of whatever you want to purchase that house for, then yeah, maybe rental is going to be the best option until you have come up with some savings to find 10% of whatever you want to purchase.
Okay, and also heard that if it is that you are not in permanent job, or if you haven't been working for a certain time period, then most mortgage places are reluctant to approve your
All right.
application.
So let's look at it like this. Somebody wants some money to borrow from you personally. They're not in a steady job, but they're saying to you, lend me some money until month end. You know that they're not in a permanent job, or they can't hold on a permanent job. And that repayment might not come. Yeah. So similarly, the mortgage companies are investing in the property that you want to purchase, and they want to know that you are capable of making that mortgage payment monthly, because that's how they make their money. If you're not qualified for the loan, because there is a series of tests and forms that you'll have to fill out to get that mortgage, and they're going to assess how much your indebtedness is. So you're working and you're earning, or you used to work and you're not earning, it means that you're not a good candidate for that loan. If, let's take for instance the NHT, you were paying your NHT, and for some reason a 6 months gap has elapsed and you have not been paying your NHT contributions consistently, then when you go in, you get back at work in February here, and you go back to the NHT and you say, okay, I'm ready to get my loan now. They're going to put you on a wait list. I think you have to wait another 6 months before you can become qualified again for that mortgage, because you have had a gap, and the NHT is a stickler for consistency.
So, what is the role of a realtor in house purchasing, and how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, let me start with how you can reach out to me first. My name is Leonie Howe. I am a representative with Wecon Properties Limited. You can reach out to me at 540-0835. You could call me or WhatsApp me on that number. or you could call through the switchboard 922-6670. Now, what is the role of a realtor? You do not really have to use a realtor if you want to make a purchase. However, this is the line of work that many of us have chosen, and we are pretty much versed in what it takes to purchase a property or to sell a property. So you have a house to sell. We are going to advertise your house for you. We're going to make sure that we scan the clients who are coming in to purchase. You don't want to do all those showings. You don't want to take all those calls, because trust me, if your property is properly advertised, you're going to get a lot of calls. And for most persons who are trying to sell their property, they don't want to be the ones taking those calls and doing the showing themselves. And what is a showing? A showing is we arrange with clients, prospective clients who want to view your property, and they come and we do the showing for you. If the property is tenanted, we work along with the client who is in your property, or work along with you to see what are the best dates and times that the property can be shown. And we do that for you. If you do not have an attorney of your own, most realtors will be familiar with a lot of attorneys that they trust and have worked with, and they could recommend that for you. Also, a realtor is not is a realtor is almost like your family, because they know your business. Once you have hired them, some persons who are selling, or some persons who are even renting and they want to get a home, they don't want to do the search. So they would rely on persons like myself to do the search for them, send them the properties that are available in their price ranges, and take them, well, not physically take them, but go with them to look at these properties that are available within their price ranges. We circumvent the process for you, and we soften a lot of the things that you don't want to go through. So you can have difficult clients and I know for some persons, they're not eager to deal with the persons who ask a whole heap of questions. They're not patient enough to go over the same answers and the same, answering the same questions 1 million times. So that's where we come in. You do not have to use a realtor, but it's best to use somebody who is trained to do that and has the patience to deal with clients, and even those that are rude, because we do come up on clients they can be very rude, and we keep you from having to deal with that. Yes,
Yeah, I certainly agree though that having a realtor is important, especially
it
for
is.
those purchasing property. Um,
And for first-time home
Basically,
buyers.
yeah, for first-time home buyers, the realtor will do the search for you, send you options that best
Right.
meet your requirements,
And we
and
answer your questions, we answer your
yeah,
questions, because
and guide us through the
especially for,
process.
right, because for first time home purchasers, it can be a very daunting process. And we can help to take you through those little, anxiety periods. I hope my answers were helpful to your viewers. And feel free to call me anytime if you want to, or your listeners can call me anytime if they just want to talk real estate and, just get their questions answered.